Drama and heartbreak, and I will let you be the judge on this video. I am sore from running yesterday. I was up till 3 a.m. recording videos yesterday as well, so I did not run this morning. Feel free to be mad at that. But you are going to be more mad at something else by the end of this video. I am specifically making this video to try and avoid you getting mad at me for not running. That is exactly how I've designed it, and we will see if it works, because I'm talking about World Cup qualifying. Today was sorting day in Asia, but we're not talking about all of World Cup qualifying. I'm going to save that for a different Zealandism on a different day, because we haven't quite wrapped up this window yet. But there was one instance of World Cup qualifying that was absolutely crazy. And it had to do with Qatar against India, which is the type of ball-busting, headline-inducing matchup that you get in Asian qualifying. Honestly, it was a great match, very interesting, because if India won, they were going to the next round of Asian qualifying. So the stage of Asian qualifying we're in right now, it's basically a group stage. 4 teams, finish in the top 2. You go to the next round of Asian qualifying, and you go into these 3 groups and then try and qualify for the World Cup from there. But a lot of Asian teams get eliminated at this stage. It's savage, and it is the summer 2 years before the World Cup, and a lot of nations are already going out. And the situation in this group was we had Qatar at the top. They're already through, right? Because even though Qatar looked like a joke at the World Cup in 2022, they actually won the Asian Championship in 2019. They just choked at their own World Cup. But they, with Asia getting 3 more spots, Qatar looks very likely to be a World Cup team, at least World Cup quality team this year. But they guaranteed their qualification with 2 matches to go. So they were basically playing friendlies against other teams that were really emotionally invested, other teams that were very, that needed to win, like India. Because India was sitting on 6 points, 5 points, something like that. Right, and they were tied with Afghanistan for points. Yes, Afghanistan, their national team, right on the cusp of making it to the final round of Asian qualifying. And then beneath them was Kuwait, 1 point behind India and Afghanistan. So the situation's simple. India's goal difference is way better. If they win against Qatar, even if Kuwait or Afghanistan win, India's going to go through. And the match starts off with an Indian goal. Okay, so India takes a 1-0 lead. This is post-Sunil Chetri era, although I must point out, because we discovered this while I was on stream today, there is a defensive midfielder for India who is stuck somewhere between I Want to Speak to the Manager and being the lead singer for Panic at the Disco, right? He's right in, or My Chemical Romance, right? I mean, I realize those are 2 different directions I could go, but it looks like a Lego hairpiece that's been attached to the top, and Udanta Singh is now one of my favorite players because of it, because what an incredible hairdo. I'm getting distracted, though. I'm definitely getting distracted. So the first goal for India means that India's up 1-0. Afghanistan and Kuwait are drawing, which is great for India. Not that either of those teams can get to them anyways, as long as they're winning against Qatar. But in the second half, the Qatari national team, which of course is not playing for anything, right? They've already qualified, scores a goal in the 73rd minute to tie the match. And it is that goal that has sparked such a controversy. We will watch it for the first time here, but this is where you see if you can spot where the controversy is coming from, okay? Right there, right there. Did you see it? Did you see it? It was right there. The ball hits off the heel of the goalkeeper off this set piece, and it kind of looks like it's going out. Like, not going out. It kind of looks like it's out. Let's look again. Oh, look where he rolls it back from, dude. Like, you can't see the ball in this thing, but you can see the line from this angle. And look where he goes. Like, look where the ball is rolling back from, dude. Like, I know you can't see it, but it's clearly... Oh, dude. This is the angle right here. Oh. Oh. Look, now I want to be very, very clear. I understand how there is a difference in angle, right? I do understand how there is a difference in angle where we are clearly looking kind of towards the goal, up the sideline a little bit, and how that can make it look like the ball is way more out. But even with that difference in angle in mind, it looks like this ball is out. Right? It looks like it is so far past the post. Right? That ball is 50 shades of out. Okay, it is so far out of play. And I know immediately what people are going to reach for is the Japan play at the World Cup. All right, but people that can look at that play logically, even from the angle that makes it look like the ball is out in the Japan game, can see how it's possible that that ball is over the line. And more importantly, at the actual World Cup, there is the technology to see directly from above the line so that you can see if the ball is in or not. And we had the beautiful replay that they showed us of the Japan goal at the World Cup where you can see the ball over the line from above. And the issue here is that in Asian World Cup qualifying, we don't have that. Right. And so all we are left with is the same thing that somehow amazingly we are left with in La Liga, because La Liga is stupid when it comes to this sort of video review stuff. All we're left with is this camera angle that this cameraman happened to be able to catch where the ball, for all my days, looks like it's way past the line. Like it's not even close to being over the line. I mean, it looks like, you know, we're not talking about a piece of paper here. We're talking about a stack of cards between the ball and the line, but this goal stood. This is the first Qatar goal that meant that India and Qatar were level, and then very soon after, Kuwait scores against Afghanistan, which means all of a sudden Kuwait is ahead of both of India and Afghanistan, and then of course Qatar scored again in the 85th minute. But you'd have to imagine that India is playing a completely different game in a 1-1 match when it needs a goal compared to a 1-0 lead, which, you know, probably should have been in the first place. Now, do I think that because what people are obviously going to reach for, because there are stereotypes at play here, right? The idea that Qatar being an oil state, which was confirmed as having bribed its way into hosting a World Cup, that is, you know, factual. That they are somehow involved in some sort of bribery here. Obviously, there's no way to confirm it. And if I'm making the devil's advocate argument, why the hell would Qatar care? Qatar doesn't give a shit if it's Kuwait or India going through. Like, unless Qatar just really has it out for India. Like, the Qatari government and the Indian government just have beef. You know, like, I don't know. But Qatar's already through. They're already through first in the group. None of this matters, right? It does not matter. So if you're going to throw stacks, right, go to a strip club. Right? Not that that's an excellent use of your funds, but it's a better use than bribing refs for a game that doesn't matter at all. Right? Maybe, I don't know, try and solve world hunger. Buy a painting. Do whatever like other pretentious rich people do. Go buy a team in the French league and then complain about how they're not getting a TV deal. You got so many options outside of bribing the ref for a game that doesn't matter. So do I think Qatar actually like rigged this? Do I think it's rigged for Qatar? No. Do I think that because of the amount of money and investment that Qatar provides for the Asian Federation, that Qatar is maybe likely to get a few favorable decisions here and there? That would make sense. That would be human nature. Qatar hosts the Asian Cup all the time. They host a lot of other Asian tournaments as well, because now they have the facilities from the World Cup. And generally, you know, the people in positions of power in the Asian Federation are very often from, you know, the oil states as well, and a lot of that money flows into the Asian Federation. So do I believe that through human nature that does result in a few perhaps favorable calls on these sorts of things? Because if you were, I'm devil's advocating both sides here. If you were going to rig a match, people mistake this all the time. If you are going to rig a match, quote unquote, rig a match, you don't do it by going to the ref and paying them and say, we have to win this game. What you do is either leverage your influence or your actual wealth, right? And this is the sort of thing that like Juventus was doing before they got caught in Italy, right? This is the sort of thing Barcelona is accused of doing, right? Is you leverage your influence and perhaps your financial power to get the 50-50 type decisions or the decisions with a justification to go your way, right? Because it is possible. Even though I think this ball was out, and if I was a betting man, if I was trying to get the decision wrong or else, you know, I would say that this ball was out. It is possible to say, well, look, we don't have a good angle, right? There is no angle that definitively, you know, because we've got this goalkeeper's leg here or whatever, there's no angle that definitively shows that this ball is out. And with that given, you know, with that being the case, we have to go with the call that's on the field. And so this is a goal for Qatar, right? If you're going to rig a match, that's how you do it. You don't do it by just going to the ref and saying, hey, we need to win this game, or we're going to break your kneecaps or something, right? Like, it's not that simple. You just use your leverage and influence and wealth to get the marginal decisions to go your direction. And every once in a while, those marginal decisions can be huge, because whatever the decision is here, it's marginal, right? If you make the decision where you reverse the call and you're Qatari, like all 5 of them, all 5 people from Qatar, right? They would be very upset about that. And if I was them, I would be upset about that, because it is correct that there is no definitive angle showing that this ball is out of play. You're basically just using your inference skills and maybe breaking out, you're dusting off Pythagoras to try and figure out if this ball is out. Now, it looks out, but there are sometimes in sports, you know, even when the technology is in play, I'm not talking about VAR, I'm talking about goal line technology has been known to break on very rare occasions because a goalkeeper's body's in the way or something. There's just always points they're in a sporting event that are gray areas. And this, I believe, 95% of people would have said this ball was out. And I think the referee on the field probably just didn't see what we're seeing right now. Like the linesman, maybe on the linesman on this side of the field is on the other side. You know how it works. You got one linesman over here and one linesman's over there, and he can't see it, right? Because if somebody sees this angle in live action, I think they're calling it out 100 times out of 100. But nobody saw it, and you go back and review it, and you can't tell it's over the line. Now, I think this ball was out. I think India was robbed, right? Because I think if this ball does not go in, I think India wins this match 1-0 based off the way the match went. And then that means that India finishes ahead of Kuwait and stays alive in the World Cup. But because of this goal, in large part, India is now out and joins Afghanistan in getting eliminated from World Cup qualification. And if you're Kuwait, you are very, very thankful. Maybe what we're not considering, what if Kuwait was the one involved in the bribery here? Now, I'm just going to put on the tinfoil hat for a second, but the biggest beneficiary of this goal is not Qatar. It's Kuwait. So I'm sure that Qatar, there was no explicit bribery from Qatar in this game. It just wouldn't make any sense. If you've got that much money, then you're not stupid enough to be bribing people for a game that doesn't matter. Kuwait, on the other hand, while they needed to win, they also needed India not to win. And Kuwait got both of those things to happen and is in the next round of World Cup qualifying. So, you know, I think everybody's accusing Qatar of rigging everything and that, you know, Qatar is the one behind all of this tomfoolery. I'm more than happy to do that on most occasions, but Kuwait stood to gain the most. And I think what we need to be doing is holding an inquest on Kuwait. Learn to read the tea leaves, people. Read between the lines, all right? Keep your eyes peeled. Stay frosty. But seriously, I feel bad for India. This whole situation sucks. Maybe 4 years from now, brother.